Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, here. Joining me is Wes Hilliard from Apple Insider, or as his friends call him, that guy who did that one thing with like all of those marshmallows. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Recovering from the marshmallows, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
That was a... Can't believe you live streamed that. That was crazy.
right. Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we are in the middle, in between ordering, paying money for Apple Vision Pro and receiving it. So I'm just kind of in a stasis. So I decided to exist on this podcast for an hour with you this week. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's whatever we can do to kill time is how I feel. I'm getting more and more excited about the launch. I'm getting
Yeah.
more and more excited about getting to try this and see this again. It seems pretty cool. Right now we're getting tons of apps sent over, which is amazing to see these previews of these app experiences that people are creating. If you are a developer, please send over any apps that you are working on, actually to Wes or I, because both of us will be working on content for Apple Insider, I believe. So please send anything over, because we're going to be looking for anything that we can kind of talk about with this headset. So I'm just getting excited. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. You guys are listening on Monday, but on Friday, as we record, I published an article about all the things that make Apple Vision Pro a win. So if you want to read a little more about that, there you go. It's some positive news for a change, rather than all the Debbie Downers that have been talking about it. But I am very excited for the product. I want to see how it fits into my workflow. Honestly, I kind of expect it to just kind of take over. I want to just clean off my desk and just have nothing there and just put on a headset and get to work every day. That'll be a lot of fun.
I agree. And like, I even did a video that looks negative, and I had, within like 30 seconds of me publishing it, I already had the comments where they didn't watch any of the video. But as
Right.
we know, YouTube needs to be sensationalized a little bit to be able to stand
Oh,
out from
absolutely.
the massive amount of content out there. So we did one of, um, is the Apple Vision Pro launch a failure? And honestly, this is the one question I've been getting a ton. I don't know if people have asked you this, Wes, but everyone's asking, like, do you think this is going to be a success? Like, are they really going to sell that many? Like, do you think this thing is so expensive? Is this thing really going to take off? And these are like the questions that I get from like your average person, like friends and family that just see this on the news, see a $3,500 price tag. Apple's marketing hasn't been kind of great on, what it really does. So these are the real questions that I'm getting. So I took that and made it into a video where I tried to really analytically break down, like, what is a good launch for Vision Pro? What does that look like? Do we know if Apple's, these initial numbers that are being reported, are those good or are those bad? So I felt like it was a very fair video. But yeah, we
Right.
had those people like immediately going into the comments without watching a second
Too,
of it, just
too many
tearing
people
apart.
stop at the title and just decide that they're going to comment on that. I mean, that happens in articles all the time too. They'll jump right in, and the entire premise they assume is the title, which Apple Insider doesn't do that. We don't really, and the headlines might be a little bit eye grabby sometimes, or even borderlining on what you could call clickbait, but it's never really that, because clickbait would imply some dishonesty, and anytime we say something in the headline, we cover it in the story. So I mean, I would recommend anyone don't just stop at the headline, especially with our articles. But yeah, with Vision Pro, it'll be interesting. I don't really see it as it being a failure, if only because it's kind of difficult for this one. It releasing was necessary, and that they've done that. It is now in the wild, well, soon, and uh, rumors are they've sold 180,000. They could sell as many as 600,000 by the end of the year. And financial speaking, that's a lot of money. And compared to the competitors like MetaQuest 2, not 3, just speaking to numbers that already exist, that would actually be encroaching on MetaQuest 2's sales territory really quickly. So, again, can we define it as a success or a win for Apple? It's difficult, but I do my best in that story I wrote. So, if you want more details as to why it's a win and why I think it's a positive thing for Apple and consumers, you should definitely read that.
I also happen to get, I don't know if you've gotten any Vision Pro accessories yet, but I have this thing. I did a short on it, but it's not even in focus in the video.
Yeah.
But this is Apple's
Andrew's holding,
Vision Pro battery
yeah,
holder,
a battery holder that looks eerily like a phone case for like an Android phone
right?
that has like a back camera cutout. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, it literally looks kind of like one of those OtterBox Defender cases, but in a stark white and a center-mounted camera is what it feels
What?
like I'm looking
Why
at.
is there a cutout? Do you know? Is there an indicator light on the battery? I assume there's got to be a
That's what
reason.
yeah, that's what I assume that it is. Because so it clips into the sides. There is a big cutout in the middle of the back, like towards the one end. So I assume that's like your battery capacity showing through. There is a clip on the back. Feels like a sturdy clip. It rotates. Like we can get some. There's some ASMR action for you. That doesn't sound super exciting, but the clip rotates for optimal angle on your hip, and then
Sure.
it's got a little loop there at the end that can connect to a lanyard if you'd prefer to go this route. They include this. It's like a nice little solid lanyard, but it's like a silvery lanyard material with metal accents on it. So these are feel like very heavy as far as like little metal ends go. One is a clip, and then one just the adjustment piece. So if you want to wear it as like a bag, like a satchel type situation, you can do that too. And then there is a one little clip somewhere around here that just clips onto the cable and then clips onto like your t-shirt or your sweatshirt or something. So a little cable tie as well. So like a good little clip there. Doesn't seem anything fancy. I really wanted to take a photo, Wes, of this on my hip next to my white clip for my green iPod Mini that I still have.
Right.
But I was
I
not able
just
to quickly uncover my iPod Mini before taking a photo and rushing out some content.
Yeah, I don't see how this is going to be super necessary. I guess it's good the accessory exists, but I mean, you can slip it in your pocket. And if you don't have pockets, I think a something like a fanny pack would be more preferable, especially if you want to daisy chain batteries together. But yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I feel like it could be useful around the house. Like, because if you don't want to put it in your pocket, whether you don't have pockets, whether you don't want to scratch it up against anything else, I could see using a clip versus sticking in your pocket. And I am not going to walk around my house in a fanny pack
No,
just to
no.
use Vision Pro.
Well, I mean, again, we there's too many questions about use case, but I mean, how much are you going to be walking around your house? And uh, again, pockets, unless you just wear
Clearly,
pants
we're going to
without
wear
pockets.
this
So,
to control. Okay, first off, half of our female listeners out there are all screaming at you right now that girl
well, of
pants
course,
don't have pockets. But beyond that, clearly we're going to walk around the house and I'm going to look at a light and I'm going to pinch it and it's going to turn on. And there's our smart home, just control everything
right.
by looking at it and using it. Because if there's
Yeah,
one thing we
bringing
need is to control lights while wearing a headset.
Well, bringing it, yeah, back to HomeKit, I expect third-party apps, not Apple, because Apple, it's hard to say exactly how they're going to embrace this technology with their own apps, but because they're not really doing it too much at the start. But third-party apps will definitely be doing a lot. I've already seen things like Plant Daddy allow you to label your plants and see when they need to be watered by walking around the house and having attachments on the plants. And I could definitely see third-party apps like Home Plus 5, is it now, or 6? Those guys could easily create icons to put on lamps or accessories that you can toggle them on or off or run a scene by looking at them, and they can just be placed wherever. But that still begs the question of how Apple Vision Pro is going to work walking room to room, how long these things will last, if creating a scene with these objects laying around is permanent or temporary. There's a lot of questions here, so we'll be testing this out from a HomeKit angle as well and be talking about it on the show.
Yeah, and Apple does at least have the Home app on there. It is not optimized, as we've learned. It's going to basically be the iPad app running on or Vision OS. I also saw, this was interesting. I did not mean to take this long on Vision Pro, but this is clearly where you and I's interest is at the moment. But I also saw people were really taking swings at Netflix, YouTube, and all these other ones that weren't launching on Vision Pro at first. And the first thing I'll say is they absolutely have the resources. They could do it if they wanted to, whatever their reasoning is behind not doing it. Like, they definitely would have developers to throw at it. That said, it seems like Vision OS, because it's so new, doesn't have a lot of the really early frameworks that a lot of streaming applications are built on. And I just saw someone tweet this out, and I wish I remembered who it was, because I wish I could credit them better and summarize what they said better. Actually, I think it was Prosser. It might have been John Prosser, of all people. And he said he had spoken to one of the big streaming companies, one of their engineers or something, and they're like, we actually knew about Vision Pro before the launch happened, before it was announced, and we started work on it, and we still could not remove all of our dependencies to get everything ready to ship a working version by February 2nd. So while I think it's egregious that folks like Netflix are not on Vision Pro, it seems like there's some background stuff that's going to take a little bit more work to get some of those going.
There's a base level amount of engineering that goes into any of these apps, even if, yes, you can technically click a checkbox that says, well, you have to unclick it because it's on by default, but you have to say, allow the app on Vision Pro, and the iPad app would then just show up in the library. But then if, 180,000 people want to download Netflix, because let's face it, most people in the world have Netflix. They're pretty much the biggest streamer. So the overlap of people buying Vision Pro and subscribing to Netflix is probably pretty great. And right off the bat, you've got, let's say 100,000 people calling Netflix, your app's not working, or this particular experience doesn't work, or now they have a bunch of calls coming in about a product that they don't even have a team for yet, just simply because they clicked the checkbox. Yes, it's annoying that it's not there. Yes, they obviously have the money to hire the manpower, but they don't want to put in the resources. And we had a piece about how the CEO of Netflix commented on this publicly, and it was less about trying to get one over on Apple, or making fun of the platform. Is just more like, it's too nascent to invest any time and effort in yet, but because they worked so closely with Apple before, they're going to see what Apple can do to make it more appealing to them now to bring the app. So I wouldn't count on it just not existing forever. It's just going to be a when, not if, for Netflix and other apps like YouTube. And honestly, just use it in Safari. It's a 2D video viewer. There's not going to be enough difference between the native app and the browser experience, other than maybe downloading for offline content.
Yeah, and again, if there's all those dependencies, like their iPad app may straight up not work on Vision Pro and could need a bunch of work that we don't know about. So, like you said, browsers are going to work just fine. Okay,
so, Andrew, one last question. What storage tier did you buy?
I went with the second tier up, 512.
512. All right. I got 1 terabyte because why not?
I don't know. Part of me panicked. I don't know how storage is going to be. It's not like this has USB-C where I can plug in an SSD to this or something and work. I mean, it sounds like DaVinci Resolve might be on here at launch. I'm like, am I going to have to somehow figure out how to get gigs and gigs of media onto Vision Pro?
I can't see that being the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I don't know. I really didn't know what to do, and I figured I'll go a little bit higher than the base tier just in case, but I really don't know. I have no idea. I mean, if I'm using this mostly at home, I feel like I'm going to stream most content. Maybe 256 would be fine. Same with the iCloud photo library is primarily on the cloud.
I focused on longevity for my purchase, 1 terabyte. I mean, if we're not going to get a Vision Pro 2 until 2027, which is the rumor, could happen sooner. Who knows? Rumors are often wrong. But I wanted to ensure that no matter what apps come out for it, what I wanted to do, download games, videos, whatever, I was going to have the space for it. And like you said, no real ability to do expandable storage or anything like that. So I just went the safe route. And luckily, these storage tiers weren't really that expensive by comparison. I mean, we've seen them get pretty crazy on things like iPads where they have to calculate the RAM pricing. This was more like buying a MacBook Air or something like that, where it really only jumped by a couple $100, which was, in the grand scheme of things, compared to a $3,500 product, not that big a deal. Pretty much the difference was the taxes. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So we have quite a bit of news. That's a lot. We have 3 news pieces here to dig into. The first off, pretty low-hanging fruit here, but Sonos has some new in-ceiling speakers These are 8-inch in-ceiling speakers between them and Sonos. These will be launching in the spring for $9.99 a pair. Since they're part of the Sonos ecosystem, they're going to work with all of like your Apple stuff, whether streaming Apple Music natively through the Sonos app or by using AirPlay to cast to them. Just another nice installed option there if you're looking for mounted or in-ceiling speakers.
These look cool if they would be. I'm sure they can be as set up as a pair for surround sounds, right? These would be excellent surround sound options, I think.
Yeah, or more like an Atmos situation going with that whole thing. I mean, then you're going to have your rears, if those can be set up for top, and then you have like the
if
arc
only
or something
Sonos bothered with any of that, really. I mean, yes, but like, this is one of my frustrations with Sonos. Here we are, the year 2024, and Sonos still doesn't let you add more than a sound bar and 2 rear speakers and a subwoofer to a system. It's wild to me. I mean, they sell all of these speakers. Why is the limit at least not 7.1 or 7.2 now, I suppose, but which is more what the industry offers. But some of these systems have dozens of speakers if you have enough money and enough space. So I just think it very odd that Sonos is a pioneer for so many things, but this one space, something that Sonos users have been promised since like 2016. I remember buying my original system eager because there were rumors in the forums with engineers commenting saying, oh, it's being worked on, that 7.1 was coming. And 7 years later, we still haven't heard anything. It's just wild.
Yeah, we're having a big year for Sonos, right? We covered those rumors. It sounds like 2024 is going to be the year of Sonos. Either that or Vision Pro, one of the two. So, yeah, those are available. We'll put a link in show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Next up in news, we have a few new Philips Hue products. So there's the Dimera wall light. These are like indoor sconces that point like directional light in like a cone up and down. They work inside and outside your house. $219. There's also the Secure Floodlight. I think this is available because I think this was announced before and now it's becoming available, if I recall correctly. So a couple new changes. There might have been other random things for like different markets as well, because there was a lot of little products being announced in this Philips Hue thing. But I think the coolest one was that wall light.
I saw there was a few they have such funny names. It's almost getting to the IKEA level at this point. But they had these hanging lights for dangling lights from the ceiling in either like bulb form or in these like little light tube connections, but mostly stuff like that. Very decorative and very expensive, but interesting anyway. I mean, Hue has so many options now. You can just light your whole home with Hue at this point without too much issue, and have every shape and form factor that you can go for. I like the idea of the Dimera wall lights, if only because they have bi-directional lights, so one faces up and one faces down, and you can actually set each light to a different color and have some interesting like ambient effects and stuff like that to light your house.
Yeah, and I think it's neat with some different automations as well, like maybe at night turning on just like the upper ones or something, so it's not like too bright. Like you got a lot of different options here with what you could do. So I think those are cool.
Can Philips Hue's like, because the secure floodlight is attached to a camera, can that camera be used in HomeKit in any way, or is that still something they're working on?
Still something they're working on. I think they were punting until Matter adds camera support, but we know that's still a ways off.
Right.
Well, outside of Philips Hue, our next news, ADT. So ADT has basically gotten into bed with Google, and that's been a thing for a little while now. I think Google invested a bunch into ADT and like their Works with Nest program. Now some of Google's Nest products are going away, like the Nest Secure. Well, there's been rumors that ADT is getting to launch a new smart home security system, kind of like a DIY situation with the professional monitoring as an option. Well, now it looks like one of them has leaked, or at least some of this information has leaked. So our friend Jennifer Toohey over at The Verge has shared a screenshot from this YouTube video that has been since removed, and it shows things like the middle home hub a screen, there are sirens, there are sensors for doors, all sorts of different piecemeal, devices that you can outfit your home with. There's no word yet on whether this will work with HomeKit or not. Likely will work with Google. Maybe it's going to work with Matter. We're going to have to see. But they're saying this could launch as soon as like next month, maybe. But it's really interesting. ADT has had like an on again, off again romance with Apple Home. It launched a few of its own products that all worked with HomeKit, and then since then it went more the Google route without HomeKit. So I'm not sure where this is going to fall. This may or may not be news in like a month or so.
It's always been kind of a pet peeve of mine that people invest in smart homes and then have like 6 different systems in their house. I remember when this was all beginning to become a thing, and I would start populating. I lived with roommates at the time, and I'd start populating the house with some HomeKit compatible devices, and then suddenly the homeowner puts in a like Vivint system that does door and window sensing and stuff like that, and it's just completely incompatible with anything on the planet. And ADT is, I feel like, in the same boat where, yeah, you see so many ADT signs everywhere. It's very popular, but it doesn't really play with anyone. So you end up with another app on your phone that controls things in a specific way. And I wonder, from your point of view, how does having something, because I know there's at least 2 security systems. I know Akara offers a few things, and then there's that big one. What's the main HomeKit
Abode?
one that Abode?
The
Yeah,
Abode IOTA.
that's the one, and that one comes with like a siren and everything too. But I wonder what's your argument for HomeKit security systems as far as these go? Like, how complex can you get? Because from what I've seen, it's mostly just door and window sensors and maybe like a glass shatter sensor, because like you have to have a specific decibel tone sensor for that one, and then there's vibrational sensors you can buy that all kind of can feed into a main siren. But then again, you can use your HomePods as a siren if you set up your automations correctly. So what should HomeKit users be looking at when they are looking at home security?
Well, I think there's like so many different routes to go, and ADT has been around for so long that like the options before was they would come to your house, install this, and then they would, peace out and monitor everything for you, and you had to arm it when you left.
They would hand you this Android tablet, especially like the modern system, and be like, "All right, this is how you do everything," and fine. But HomeKit Insider, we're Apple users. I think we kind of just look at that and say, we want it to be integrated with our systems.
Exactly. I think things have come a very long way for ADT, and this looks like even their Google partnership was like, it only felt like half done, partially because it was just on the Google half of things and kind of ignored other users. But this seems like it could be a much more modern approach to the home security. And me as a HomeKit user, what my ideal setup would be is one that I can install myself. There's no installation, like I don't have to pay anyone to do some sort of installation. I can outfit my home as best that I want, like whether I want to do contact sensors on my primary doors and windows, I want to put other sensors around. Some sensors aren't supported by HomeKit, but they'll be supported by like the security systems. So like the Abode IOTA, they have a bunch of different little sensors. Same thing with the Akara one, like a vibration one or whatever, and you can use those to trigger your alarm systems. But what I would ideally like is one that I can monitor on my own, like kind of day in and day out. Like while I'm going to the grocery store, I can monitor. But if I'm going on vacation, I think I like the option to enable professional monitoring, even if it's for like 2 days. Because if you're out of the country, or you maybe don't have great cell coverage, or you're just on vacation and don't want to be inundated with alerts from your house, like you're trying to disconnect and be able to relax, you don't want to be responsible for your own monitoring. So for the times
Right.
where like my whole family's away, we're out of the country or something like that, I would not mind paying, even if it's like $10-$20 a day or something, for professional monitoring. Like I would
Right.
pay for, weekend coverage. Give me Friday to Monday for, $25 or something, and God forbid something happened at the house, whether it is a fire, whether it is a break-in, there's something that's responsible for that and can take care of it. So that's what I would like to see. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Apple doesn't have something like this even in the works. I mean,
Right.
Apple has this now for the car, right? You're out and about, something happens, you're stranded, there's like an emergency option. There's, HomeKit Secure Video. I'm surprised they haven't partnered with anyone to do some sort of, home monitoring situation for an
I
add-on fee.
I wonder if HomeKit and what we're discussing now, home security, uh, e- home building, even just all of these kinds of nascent things that have been worked on by third parties outside of Apple. Apple's kind of nodded in their direction sometimes, but never really put on the pressure of we're fully supporting you or endorsing you in some way. I wonder if we're going to see more stuff like this as like Matter and stuff rolls out. I think there's a lot of new systems coming out, appliances, robot vacuums, and stuff like that in the near future for Matter that could affect Apple adoptions for all of these kinds of systems. Maybe we'll see, like you said, more services towards the home in the near future. And I think that'd be very interesting for Apple. And Apple likes services. They like having options for subscriptions and attracting more users to different platforms. So maybe, as we saw before, HomeKit Secure Video was attached to the iCloud subscription, but maybe soon we'll be able to subscribe to Home Plus subscription or something like that from Apple and get a little bit more help and detail from the company, or at least maybe they'll buy somebody out to do it for us. But I don't know. I think the whole thing's very interesting. I definitely like the idea of having a little bit of home security and, like you said, some peace of mind, especially if you can have home monitoring. But it's all outside of the ecosystem at the moment, and I feel like this is a spot for Apple to focus on in the near future.
For sure. So one last piece of news. I actually have a bunch of cool little Qi2 devices that we're going to talk about in a minute. But talking about Qi2, Nomad, I added this to the notes while we were talking. You didn't even see it, Wes. But Nomad's Qi2 devices are officially available to order. These were announced before the holidays. Now you can pick them up. So if you're looking for a Qi2 device, these are shipping. There's only, I'm pretty sure I have every Qi2 device that is currently shipping. Maybe sans one. But there's very few. So if you're looking for a Qi2 device, Nomad's stand one or whatever with the Qi2 built in, it's available to order. So I think it's just called stand. It just, because there's stand one, I think, is the MagSafe version, and then just stand is the Qi2 version. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. But I don't know if you knew this, Wes, but this is a true story. Nomad's website runs on Shopify. I believe it does. Much of the internet runs on Shopify, and people probably don't even know that it's Shopify doing all of the magic on all of their favorite websites. They make the checkout process so easy and streamlined to add coupons, to check out with Apple Pay, to track all their purchases through the singular Shop app. Everything about it is so smooth, streamlined, and wonderful, and it's all powered by Shopify. Wes, do you know websites that use Shopify?
Oh, sure. I mean, a lot of the tech websites that I use, I believe Cotton Bureau and other companies just shop this out to Shopify because it makes sense. It's supposed to be white label, and it is, but if you're a nerd and you pay attention to stuff, you can pretty much notice anytime you enter the checkout flow, you've landed in a Shopify app or website, and it kind of adds a little bit of peace of mind because you know what you're getting. You know that this is a safe space to put your information, and that all of your checkout process is going to be smooth sailing, and you'll be able to check out with Apple Pay, which is something that I like to do. So, yeah, Shopify's definitely everywhere on the internet at this point.
Yeah, it's actually 10% of all e-commerce. 10% of it is all driven by Shopify. Includes like Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and of course we just talked about Nomad. It also is in 175 different countries around the world. And what's great is it's good for both, end user and developers / your stores, your merchants, because we talked about why customers are going to love it. It's so easy to use for developers and merchants as well. Whether you are just starting off, whether you are a massive company, Shopify is going to be a stable, great platform to work with and grow. It's also great for digital goods and physical goods, so it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's just tailored to all these situations. So we have an exclusive offer for everyone right now. So sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/HomeKit, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/HomeKit. Thank you, as always, to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. So let's go ahead, before we get into our Qi2 stuff, what do you got for me here, Wes?
So I had a question. Have you ever had any HomeKit devices just fail? As in the hardware, not talking about HomeKit app or Apple Home or anything like that, but have you had a piece of hardware just break or fall apart? Because recently, I haven't reached out yet to August, but my August smart lock gave up. The motor no longer rotates the lock correctly. The motor, you can hear, you'll tap the action, you'll hear the motor whir up to lock or unlock, but the deadbolt doesn't move. It's as if everything's kind of frozen in place. There's something just completely broken inside, and it's very unfortunate, but I've had the lock for a few years now, so it's understandable that eventually things do wear down, they do break. This thing has been manually turned multiple times where the motor moves as you manually turn it, so maybe it's been turned too much. Hard to say exactly what broke it, but it finally just gave up. So I just wonder, how often do you encounter just things mechanically failing for your HomeKit setup?
Wow, that's a hard question, and I don't think I've really had almost anything actually fail on a hardware level, sans a couple of things that I'll get into. But I mean, I think the August is unique in that compared to most HomeKit devices, they're not moving. They don't
Right.
contain motors. They're all just kind of electrical sensors and switches, and that's kind of all they do. So any sensors in the house, and I mean, I have stuff that's very old. I have the original Eve devices that launched with HomeKit that are still working just fine. The contact sensor, original Eve energy. I lost my original Eve weather. I had it out on my patio when I was like 3 homes ago, like out on my apartment balcony, and it was measuring my outdoor weather. And then I moved and did not bring it. So I don't have
Oops.
that one, but I have my other original Eve products that are still kicking. I have a lot of very old HomeKit devices that are still operational. So the
Yeah.
only things that I've had fail are lights.
Oh,
And
funny.
that's because lights do have a finite, lifespan on them. They're like a battery. They are a consumable. Even with an LED light, they do eventually have a lifespan. And it's one of the most popular videos I did on my personal YouTube channel before I was at Apple Insider. That was like reviewing the original Hue products. I remember the original box was square and there was like a light bulb on the front and there was a little wheel and you could spin the wheel and it would change the color of the light bulb. And it was such a cool little effect. I loved it. It
Hmm.
was special. But some of my original Hue bulbs have just stopped turning on or would start to flicker. But I swear, man, I don't even know how long ago that was that I got those. I mean, it's been more than 10 years.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, my oldest HomeKit devices are definitely Hue lights, and they just keep burning. I mean, a couple of them have little surface cracks, but I just carefully screw them into the socket and just leave them be and hope that nothing explodes. But yeah, I haven't had any just absolute failures. I've definitely ran into some technologies that just didn't work for me and just put it away in a box. But I've never had anything just completely break. So that's what was unique about the August lock for me. And I wouldn't say this about it. I'm not saying August locks are prone to failure. This one's actually a couple of generations ago. This one actually is, I think, the first one with DoorSense, if you want to go back that far. So not the first generation, but it's still the one that was that's larger, because the newer ones are smaller, that enclose around your deadbolt. The old ones were closer to almost like a baseball size. They protrude. They're very just big door locks. But I can't speak for anything newer than that, because I switched to level lock, and I think that's the plan for because this was a backdoor lock, and the back door is currently back to being a dumb lock. But I think once we have the money to throw at it, we might do another level lock, because the level lock on the front door has been nothing but perfect since we installed it. So
Nice, yeah. I it's always been a struggle with door locks because I can't test anything all that long because we just keep cycling through them. I actually had to set up a fake door where I install smart locks on, and then I'll put it inside of our doorway and I'll use that to tell, like, okay, does it automatically unlock when I get home? And I'll see like multiple door locks all like react at the same time and
that's
grant
funny.
access to the home and everything. So we test a lot of door locks, but I have kept the level lock on my front door for the longest period of time, just for consistency's sake, and I like that it just blends in for the most part. I do have a
Right.
new one with HomeKey, which is obviously clutch, and I wish I would have picked a different colorway on it because it's silver and everything else is like a bronze or black color.
Mm.
But there's only one that was like available like right at launch, I think. But yeah, mine's still worked for me. But I have some very old August here that I occasionally will like set up because they're still in my home app, and then I don't really use them. And then it's like, yes, lock failed to respond. I'm like, well, yeah, because the battery's dead because I don't use it. So then I'll
Right.
replace the battery just so I stop getting the alert. I probably just waste money on batteries for no reason for just testing products.
Yeah, we're still having trouble with the Maris switches that we ordered. The Matter enabled. Uh, they're the plugs, like you plug in a lamp to it. Wall switch. What would you call that? A wall plug. Anyway, still having trouble with that. Plug it in, connect it to HomeKit. Within 12 hours, unresponsive, completely
Yeah.
useless. No idea what's happening there. Haven't tried it again since updating to 17.3, so maybe something jarred it loose. So we'll try it again, or maybe they have some firmware on their end that might update. But yeah, these Matter only devices can sometimes be so finicky. Like Nano Leaf every now and then just decides, I'm not going to be on your network anymore, and just be unavailable for an hour, and then come back, and then it's fine. And it's just, come on, guys, just nail down the consistency. Everything else I don't care about. Just nail down the consistency of it operating when I need it to operate. That's all I need.
Maybe all those new thread improvements are going to fix these things.
Right.
Like, big update to thread coming. Let's go. It's
Very
still going to be a little
exciting.
while, though.
Right.
Now, Wes, do you believe in New Year's resolutions?
Not really.
Yeah, same. I
Okay.
don't really believe in it. I hate, like, my New Year's resolution is to do this. But I will say that I do like it as an opportunity. Like, you're starting a new year, and I feel like you want, I'm always looking to do better in everything, whether it's the audio on a podcast, whether it's video production, whether it's, getting into a good workout schedule, or it's learning a new language. I always like opportunities to better yourself. And whether or not you want to go with an actual, like, a New Year's resolution that you're going to abandon right away, or you want to focus on something that's going to be useful and helpful through the rest of your life, through your travels, well, Babbel can help you do it. That was a long transition, but I think it was pretty decent.
Landed. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, they say just be a better you in 2024 with Babbel, science-backed language learning that actually works. And the part where they say actually works is the part that always hooks me because, like you, Wes, I know it did a bunch of, foreign language in school, and so little of it stuck. I even did more in college, and I feel like my Spanish is very bad. And I just did a little playing around with Babbel, and I love it. It's such an easy way to consume in these short little 10-minute lessons designed by over 150 different language experts and can help you start learning in as soon as 3 weeks. So like that to me is the time frame of where you decide you're going to go on a vacation somewhere to the time you're there. You got all this time to start learning that new language so you can be able to do things in that foreign country wherever you
Right.
are. I think it's absolutely cool. We've talked about this. Do you really speak many foreign languages?
No, I mean, I understand a lot of Spanish just because of my education in school. And so I'll hear things and know what they mean, but I couldn't repeat them to you and I couldn't respond properly. But that's the oddball here. But I actually studied Japanese for a while just because I'm a nerd. And that actually stuck quite a lot more. And part of it was because I was able to use like video and see other people speaking it, and that kind of interaction definitely helps learn a lot more, a lot faster, especially when you can hear natural conversations of people who speak the language saying the words in the proper order and the proper way. And that, I think that triggers something in your brain rather than just, looking at flashcards over and over again.
Exactly. And Babbel even has this speech recognition technology. So as you are practicing, as you are saying things, it's able to listen to you and then help you with your pronunciation and your accent, which is something you're not going to find in other apps. So it'll help you be able to order food when you go somewhere, ask for the restroom, ask for directions, and you don't have to use like an app. You don't need to worry about data fees on your phone to figure things out. You can ask these basic things that you need to know how to do, and Babbel can help you do it. So here is a special limited time deal for our listeners right now. Get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/HKI. Get 50% off at babbel.com/HKI, spelled BABBEL.com/HKI. Rules and restrictions may apply. So, Wes, what I have here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Qi2 devices. I think the only one that I don't have is I believe Anker has a 3-in-1 stand that is flat.
Right.
That's the one that I do not have, but I have 5 other Qi2 devices here to take a look at. So throw some questions at me as I walk through them, and I'll kind of say what I like and don't like, and you please tell me what you like and don't like in all of these. Sound good?
Sure.
Okay. First one up, we're starting simple. This is from iOttie, so IOTTIE. Every time I write this, Wes, autocorrect thinks I'm trying to say hottie.
Yeah,
And
that's not great.
I know. Did you mean hottie? I did not. I did not autocorrect, but hopefully, iOS and everything is supposed to be fixing that autocorrect, right? So it learns your words and starts using that. So we'll see if I'll start typing iOttie when I try to write things.
This is your basic MagSafe puck vent mount, right?
Absolutely. This is super minimalistic. It's all matte black. Looks very nice and sleek. Grips on the back here, both directions to clip onto your vent. It's got a ball and socket joint, so there's a really good degree of movement on this guy to get it at like the right angle in your car. Feels nice and secure. Comes with an integrated USB-C cable. Super simple. Your basic stuff. Nothing flashy here, but I like that. I mean, this is like we have like 2 car mounts, and this is much more the simple one.
So remind me, which iPhones have Qi2 support?
Qi2 support is going to be, I believe, 13, 14, and 15 series. All will support Qi2. If you have an iPhone 12, it'll still magnetically connect, but you're only going to get 7.5 watts of power. So the 13, 14, 15 will all be able to draw up to 15 watts from any of these Qi2 devices.
See, it's a lot wider than I was expecting. When Apple announced that they were supporting Qi2, I was expecting, iPhone 15 only. And
well, that's all they really said, right? Yeah. At the beginning was just 15, and then the 17.3 update came out, and they're like, "Hey, BT Dubs, we're going to support it on these older devices."
Right, which is really great. That.
Well, the next one we have here is from ESR. Now, the thing that I don't like about it, it's a little bit more chunky. This is looks like their standard Halo Lock chargers. But it's like a square around a glossy front. I don't like the glossy front. I kind of like the matte finish of the iOttie one better. I do find that the ESR magnets are really good. So like strength-wise, it's good. But they also do better with the mounting system. So ball and pivot joint on the back, good degree of motion. The one I have attached here now, if you can see on video, if anyone watching, it's flexible. It's got like little grooves on it. So if you have a textured or you have a curved like a dash,
which is most dashes,
fit. Exactly. Most of them are not perfectly flat.
You're not
And
driving with a table on your dash. It's not.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you end up with most mounts will come with like a little piece of glass or plastic that they expect you to stick that won't be level. It'll have a gap underneath of it, but it'll stick. And then
Hmm.
you put like a suction cup or a regular adhesive to that. I love that they came out with this flexible base that's all adhesive, just standard 3M VHB adhesive, and stick it onto your dash, and you have an option. So cool option there for mounting, but they also included a secondary one. So you can choose if you want it to stick onto your dash or if you want to use the vent mount. And their vent mount not only clips onto the little paddles or whatever they're called of your vent, but they have a little adjustable arm underneath that's like their stabilizing arm, and that will go up against your car. It'll push up, so a vent here, and then it'll push against your car, so it won't bounce. So as it's going, it kind of like holds it in place. So I found the ESR one is actually very stable while driving if you're using the vent mount.
Yeah.
So I don't love the square shape, but I like the mounting options.
What's good about a lot of these car dash mounts, vent mounts, is they use that. I think it's a 17 millimeter ball joint, which is universal. So if you hate everything that these companies do for the actual mounting action, good thing is if you have one that you already use that you enjoy, just swap out the face, just swap out the actual charger, and the vent attachment or the dash attachment doesn't have to change because that ball joint will just click right in. Most of them use the same size one, so it makes it really easy to set up if you already have a system in place that you just want to upgrade to a Qi2 charger. So
Exactly. So moving out of the car, so far I believe there's the only two vent mounts that I've seen that are shipping. But the next one here is from Aukey, which is a kind of a blast from the past. I haven't heard people talk about Aukey in quite some time. But this is the new Aukey one, and this is a 3-in-1. So you have your Qi2 puck there on the top. It's quite slim if you're looking at the video. It's like a dark silver color, like a space gray, and then the bottom folds out. So you've got
nice.
your stand on the front. So you could use it completely flat if you wanted. Lift it up, use it as in a stand. You can adjust that angle as you need. Phone can go vertically or sideways, whatever is preferable to you. And then Qi2 or Qi charger on the back for your AirPods to sit. So we got one charger there, 15-watt Qi charger on the top. Then the top will pivot out if you have an Apple Watch and becomes the 3-in-1. So you have your Apple Watch there, your iPhone here, your AirPods on the back. The slight downside here is when your iPhone is in landscape mode, you're putting an iPhone, you've got spare iPhones running around this place, put your iPhone on this sideways, like you're going to use it in standby, you cannot use your Apple Watch puck there. I mean, your Apple Watch actually may fit, because it's pretty slim. I don't know if I've got an extra watch lying around here, and I don't want to take mine off, but it would be very tight.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, so that's one downside, but I do like the compact nature of this one. It's a really good 3-in-1 like travel charger thickness.
I like that we're seeing more foldable chargers. I think that's a good innovation in the space. Just they fold flat to fit in your bag. Much easier to travel with, and you unfold it, you got a 3-in-1 charger right there ready to go, and one cable to run the whole thing. It's really smart. Every company's doing something a little different in the space, so plenty to choose from. And now we have Qi2, so it's nice.
Well, if you like foldable chargers, right here. This is from Anker. 3-in-1. It's very blown out on video.
Right.
But we have, it looks about the size, height size. It looks about the size of Apple's MagSafe battery pack, but it's a little bit thicker, and it's not a battery, but an actual desktop charger. So it opens up. You got your charger on top there. Inside, you have another Qi charger for your AirPods or other headphones, and then an Apple Watch puck pivots out of the back like magic, giving you 3-in-1. Your Apple Watch is clear. You can't use your Apple Watch in nightstand mode at all, but of course you can put your phone in the front in standby mode, AirPods in the middle, Apple Watch on the back. Folds up completely to a little brick. USB-C input. They do include with this one a 40-watt USB-C power brick. That's included, and a USB-C cable, including a right angle on that cable, which I like, so that when this is on like your desk, the cable can go straight back because the USB-C output is in the side. So you don't have a cable running out and then down the back of your desk or nightstand. It can go straight back, even though it's coming out of the side.
I feel like nightstand mode has been completely usurped by standby mode, especially since
100%.
you can charge your watch so fast now with the 5-watt chargers. Just pop it on, go brush your teeth, come back, and you can put your watch back on, and you're good to go. I just don't. I wonder how many people are still just charging their watch overnight in nightstand mode, if that's a thing people do. I mean, I'm sure that not everyone wears their watch to bed. It's probably uncomfortable for them, but still, it's funny to me that standby mode is just so much more accessible, so many more options, so much bigger. But to the I said A and two, but the funny thing here is you just the watch isn't on the charger long enough to even bother. I mean, so I wonder if Apple could do something better with the space, maybe, but I don't think it's necessary. You're just not charging your watch that much anymore.
I agree. I don't know. I just set mine on there, get it charged, and pick it back up again. I use quite frequently the OtterBox. I think it's OtterBox that has like just right in the back, straight down, very easy to put on there. And you never have problems with alignment because it's straight down. And a lot of the ones that would tip forward for nightstand mode, depending on your watch, could weight it, and it would maybe like pull off or something, especially if you had like a heavy band, like a metal band. Right. So this one I liked it just straight down. It just pulls itself into position 100% every time. Good to go. Last Qi1, Qi2 charger that I've got my hands on so far. This is also from Anker. This is their battery pack. Again, washed out on video, but USB-C input, box. Output. Yeah. Solid white box. I believe it comes also in black. What's the capacity on this thing? I want to say it's 10,000. Nope, 5,000. I knew it. I knew it was 5,000. So pretty standard capacity. We looked at the Logic one recently. They sponsored a lot of our CES coverage, and they have a 5,000 MagSafe battery pack. But this one, 5,000 milliamp hours, Qi2, so up to 15 watts, USB-C input output, built-in kickstand. Boom, kickstand there. So it can tilt back. You could use your phone in standby mode just fine. Clip it on the back. Use that portable battery pack there.
Is it...
Funny enough, this is the 15 Pro. It's actually bigger than the 15 Pro. It sticks out the bottom.
Is it as chunky as it looks? Like, compare it to the Apple MagSafe battery pack. Pretty thick.
Do I have that on my desk? I just had that thing, and I do not see it anymore. Unfortunately, so I could just show it off right in the moment.
My mom has my MagSafe battery pack. It's
thicker.
It is left
It's
the
a
house.
little thicker. It's definitely thicker than Apple's. But looky there. I love
the little
this.
display is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a nice little display right there on the side. So a green circle gives you your capacity. So right now I'm at 20%, 28%. Shows output, so it's leaving, and it shows you how long is left on your charge based on current consumption speeds. So this would take me another 48 minutes to fully charge the battery, which is sitting at like 50%. So 39 minutes is what it's telling me right now. But yeah, I love the display on there. I think that's really cool. Looks very sharp, deep blacks, bright green color to kind of read it. I like that a lot. So that's it. Those are my Qi2 devices. The one that I don't have answered, Wes, is how Qi2 compares speed-wise. And I think the one I'm going to be able to test this on is from Nomad. Because Nomad it's exactly the same as their MagSafe version, but without MagSafe, just Qi2 instead. Right. All of these devices, I don't have a comparable solution. Like, even the ESR MagSafe ones that they have active cooling, which would make them inherently faster, especially in the car. Anker, I don't know. I don't think, at least I don't have one that's this exact design, but MagSafe.
No, that would be a good comparison point.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll check back hopefully next week maybe. But
they'll probably be the same. I mean, the difference between MagSafe and Qi2 isn't going to be too noticeable. I expect MagSafe will have better... it has more communication between like the charger and the device. Funny enough, at least the way the power delivery negotiation is working, I think Apple is giving more headway because it expects it to be more efficient on MagSafe and less heat dissipation and stuff. Qi2 should be getting similar results because it's aligning with magnets. That was the biggest reason why MagSafe was so much more efficient than original Qi charging. So that magnet alignment is huge. 15 watts of power is very useful. But what are we actually seeing from the time you connect the phone to the time you take it off the charger? How much is it ramping that 15 watts all the way up to 15 watts? How often is it 12 watts? How often is it 10 watts, right? To dissipate heat or to control charge levels or battery or whatever. And it's almost too tricky, if not impossible, to track this in real time with a meter because, well, it's all going through the magnetic puck. And even if you, yes, measure from the USB-C side of the power in to the charger, you can't see what's actually being delivered over the magnet, over the charging coil to the device. So it's way too tricky unless Apple opened up their software on their phone to allow power management apps to show actual power transference, which just isn't possible. So all we can do is drain the battery, plug it in, set the phone on it, and then put a timer on to see how long it takes to charge, which is frustrating. And then there's also
100%.
there's another calculation involved here too. Is Apple going to kick in its hold mode where it says I'm holding 80% until you wake up, or the energy isn't very green right now, so we're going to hold until the energy transference is greener, stuff like that. So how do you account for that unless you're staring at the phone the whole time making sure these notifications don't pop up? It's very time consuming and very difficult to actually determine these values.
Yeah, my typical battery test is I'll drain the phone completely, then I'll put it on the charger, and I think I check. I'll have to look at what my data showed, but I think I did every 5 or 10 minutes. I would go back to the phone, check what the percentage is, log it, set another
Andrew,
5-minute timer.
you could set up a live stream, get a HomeKit video camera and point it at the iPhone display, and then every time you want to check on it, you just look at that and see if the notification's on the lock screen. There you go. Make it a little easier.
Perfect. Hey, we'll go live on TikTok once we get 1,000 subscribers. Okay, folks? I'd love to do a Q&A on Vision Pro, but like we just launched our TikTok and we're only at over 500. So get us to 1,000,
Only
folks.
500.
Get us to 1,000 and we'll go live. I'll put a live stream up of charging with Qi2 and MagSafe, and we'll see which one is winning.
Andrew will do the floss live on TikTok, and everyone will abruptly cancel their subscription to Apple Insider. So
I wish I had two phones that were both like brand new and the same model, and I could put them on the charger at the same time and just check both of them simultaneously and see like in real time how they're doing. But I do not have two of the same phone, or if
too many variables.
One has been used. Yeah, plus background tasks. They both need to be clean. So that's what I usually do is I use like my testing phones from the studio that basically have nothing running on them. Like
Andrew, I've heard if you go to a bar and you ask for someone's passcode, they'll give it to you, and then you just take their phone, and now you'll have multiple phones. That I've heard this works.
Okay, well, I'll try that, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that covers it for this episode. It has been a lot to talk about. I hope everyone was excited about the Vision Pro stuff, because I know we kind of took a little bit of time to break that down. I also hope that audio continues to improve. Last week was definitely a struggle getting our interview to come across super clear, which is always the case when dealing with outside variables. So we're trying to improve this. I've had so many people reach out offering to straight up edit these episodes for us, and whether or not I take anyone up on those, but I've been in communication with people looking for a streamlined way to improve the audio on the podcast. So hang with us. We're getting there. Because no, audio is not my thing. My thing is smart home and video, and we will figure out the audio part together. So thank you again to everybody who's been reaching out. Wes, is there anywhere you'd like to point everyone?
I mean, you can find me on Mastodon as always. If you comment or anything on Twitter or tag me, I'll see it in notifications. I'll respond, but I'm not really active there. Mastodon's a better way. Obviously, you can always email us through our Apple Insider emails. Those are available at the top of any article that we've written. And, just find me on Apple Insider. And one thing before we go, I will say if any of you are interested in Apple Vision Pro and have any questions about it, Andrew and I are writing about it. I will be doing the review for Apple Vision Pro for Apple Insider. So we're looking for questions just pertaining to use cases, just anything like that, or maybe you've got an interesting story about Apple Vision Pro. You work for a company that is buying them in bulk, or you're a doctor and you intend on using it to take notes or something. I don't know. But if you have some industry stories about how you intend to use Apple Vision Pro, interesting plans for it, you ordered one and you're just excited about it, reach out and let us know. We're happy to hear from any of you guys. And some of it might just make the show or might make it into a review or special article. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for listening. Please go ahead and leave us a 5, 10, 20, 100-star review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the video on youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can see all of the new Qi2 chargers that we have here in the studio. Otherwise, stay tuned. We'll have another episode for you guys next week.